From LALATE News headquarters in Santa Monica, this is Mornings LALATE.
It's a big early morning of Mornings at LA with incredible great news about your fourth stimulus check update of 2021. In this recording, we'll go over that fourth stimulus check, and we'll go over the breaking details about all the stimulus that's coming to you in the fourth stimulus package. Then we'll be cutting to the exciting details of the recon. Go into a vote today. Finally, we're to the voting process, but is it the recon procedural or the recon substantive? I'll explain the details in this early morning's broadcast. Then in the third part of this video, we go over the voting process and everything you need to know across the board. We cut to fifth stimulus, which heats up this fall. In fact, in just a few days, in September, raising your benefits up if you're on SSI and SSDI. It's incredible great news. And then we cut to the big money across the board that some viewers are getting. And those viewers are you. $5, $10, $15, $20,000, no longer the case. Now 20, 30, 40, 50,000. I'll show you how one viewer got $50,000 and how you can get as well. It's a big day. The toast is toast and the butter is butter, and I'm here, you're here. Let's get to the news, starting right now. Having a beautiful early morning. How's your day going? It's a Tuesday morning and the weather is gorgeous here in Southern California. It was breathtaking on Monday as well. Thank you for joining me on a big early morning's broadcast. How's the weather where you are? Jump in the live chat and tell me where you're tuning in from this beautiful early morning, and how's the weather where you are. In this recording, we'll go over that fourth stimulus, and this is really incredible news. The fourth stimulus recon proposal, not bill, has been debuted, and there's going to be fortunes of checks for all different walks of life in there, as I've been reporting. Fourth stimulus recon, $3.5 trillion of checks coming to the American people, application base. And there you go. In this recording, we're going to go over all the incredible fourth stimulus check update of 2021. Then in the second part of this video, we'll be going over the recon and what you need to know about the procedural recon versus the substantive recon. Then we cut to the third part of this video, the vote. What's going on today as the voting starts on the recon finally today. Very exciting news. Then we cut to fifth stimulus, which is just days away, as September is just in front of us. And this is the raise up of your benefits if you're on SSI, SSDI, VA, and more. I have all the incredible details about that as well. And then we cut to the big money across the board as viewers were getting $32,000 from this channel. And then one viewer, I said, go get some more, and he did, and he got $50,000. And this is LA, America's only 24-hour day, 7 days a week, financial news channel in America. Live in the morning and taped in the afternoons. Coming up next is Overnight's Crypto. This video will automatically take you there, which actually has a lot of details about the shocking amendment to the roads and bridges about infrastructure, about crypto in there. So watch that. Then coming up at 9 a.m. is Mornings LA live on air. 11 a.m. is noontime, and 9:45 is Mornings Crypto live on air. So subscribe. 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record. I want you part of this family. Hit that subscribe button right now. Like the video, 3,000 likes, and consider becoming a member. Let's cut to the fourth stimulus package and all the recon excitement starting right now. So the fourth stimulus recon is going to go two-path process. Over the last few months, I often talked to you about fourth stimulus recon procedural and fourth stimulus recon substantive. Well, that's what they're doing. It may sound a little confusing if you've never heard these words before, so let me explain it to you if you're a new viewer. Step one is the fourth stimulus recon procedural. What are they doing? What they're doing is they're taking the following approach. Here's $100. We're going to give $10 to this committee in the government and $5 to this committee in the government. And we're going to recommend them how to use the money, but it's not definitive and it's not binding how they use the money. And then we're going to vote on that. That's all they're doing for the procedural recon. They take a pot of money, and then they say this amount of money to this committee in the government and that committee in that part of the government. Not $10 to mow the lawn or $5 to cut the grass. Simply $10 to banking committee, $100 to the labor committee, things like that. That's procedural recon, step number one. Step number two is the incredible details about what happens with the substantive recon. That comes shortly after that. I'll explain more about this later in this video. So, the great news is that the recon debuted in procedural format yesterday. Not as a bill, but as a proposal. And the proposal, some places you saw it as one page. Literally one page. Other places you saw it as 2 pages. It's as sparse as that can be. That is all there is at the moment. Just numbers and splitting the numbers among 10 or 20 different subcommittees. There you go. And that is where the recon is at the moment. I'll have more about this later in this recording. Then we'll cut to the recon itself and all the money that is in the different subcommittees. Then we'll cut to the voting process as the recon starts the voting today. The bipartisan, the roads and bridges at the time of watching this video should be done. The voter-rum on the roads and bridges underwent 50 hours of voting amendments, which is simply just ceremonial because there's nothing substantive left for them to do. And that should be done by the time you're watching this recording. Recon goes next. But first, let's get some money. Get a pen and paper ready because I want to get you some money. Boy, I have been reporting about getting viewers rent, utilities, food, internet, and more, and I'm going to get you some of that money right now. But when I first started making the recordings, I said I can get you about 4 to 6 months of rent, about $5,000. I was wrong. I couldn't get you $5,000 of rent. I could get you $27,000 of rent under third stimulus. Incredible, great news. Elizabeth got $27,000 for rent from this channel. Mark, $25,000. Nancy, $24,000. Richard, $22,000. And Nisi, $20,000. The success stories continue on air. Pamela got $12,000 of rent. Carla got money for utilities and SNAP. Tiffany, $13,000 of rent and other items. Randy, $6,000 for rent and other items. Jennifer, $5,000 for rent and other items. And Cecilia, $1,200 for heat. Then when I talked about utilities, I said I could get you $300 for utilities. And then this is how much in utilities viewers got. Wow. Now, these are subscribers. These are members. These are part of the Purple Power community that watch these videos, share these videos with their neighbors and friends and say, go watch that kid. People are getting big sums of money for that channel. $7,000 for Nancy, $6,500 for Mark for utilities, Angela, $5,000. This is water, gas, electric, heating oil, things like that. Incredible sums of money. Then for SNAP, which is money for your food, boy, I said $5,000 to $6,000 for SNAP because that's what some viewers were getting. And then, are you ready? Are you ready? Drum roll. Look at this one. Wow. Louis got $18,000 for SNAP. John, $10,000 for SNAP. Nancy got $5,000 for SNAP. The numbers continue to come back in. And then what became the big question of Mark was, how many multiple items can you get? With rent, utilities, and SNAP on the board, then, are you ready? Drum roll. Bam. Wow. Congratulations. Nancy got $32,000 for 3 items on this channel, rent, utilities, and SNAP. Nisi got $23,000 from 3 items, and Mark $32,000 from 2 items. Mark had 2 items, $32,000. And over a week of recordings last week, I said to refer to Mark on air. I said, Mark, why didn't you get the 3rd item? Why didn't you get some SNAP? He heard my recordings. His neighbors heard this recordings. His neighbors are getting $20,000 as well. But he heard my recordings and realized, I should go get that SNAP. So he did. And instead of $32,000, he got some SNAP on top of that. How much did his grand total come to? $40,000? $35,000? No. Mark got $19,000 of SNAP, bringing his grand total to $50,000. Wow. And this is LALATE. Boy, we've been doing this since day one. In spring of last year, EIDL loans and grants were not getting approved, so I started this channel to help get people's applications approved, hand walking people through the application process. I was getting about 10 applications of EIDL loans approved daily, helping people off camera and on camera. And it amounted to $25 million of EIDL loans I got approved, saving people's homes, their businesses' homes, and also their employees' homes. But in fall of 2020, second stimulus checks were not coming. People needed money. It was the holidays. And I stepped forward and I got 2 viewers, $250,000 for rent. Tyrone and his family out of Boston got $15,000 for rent, paying for his utilities, his rent and board. Paid all his bills from December to February. But now we're doing it even bigger than before. 3rd stimulus, yeah, $1,400 stimulus check, but I told viewers you can get more money. And now you're doing incredible sums of money. So if you're a new viewer, you just found this channel, and you haven't got the sums of money, let's get it right now. If you are a viewer and haven't gotten it, let's get it right now. And if you got one item, let's get multiple sums of money. Get a pen, paper ready, and we're going to go over all the details. You're going to reach out to different places with different eligibility. So if one says no, you reach out to the next. They have different pots of money, and they also have different eligibility. Listen to the keywords I say in this video, because viewers tell me the keywords really help them. You're going to reach out to your city hall, your city housing authority, your county hall, your county housing authority, your state hall, your state housing authority. The keywords you're going to say are rent assistance because of COVID, or mortgage utility assistance because of COVID. You're going to get some rent, utilities, mortgage, homeowners assistance like utilities, and SNAP. And there you go. And boy, you're not going to say words they don't know, though. Don't say words they don't know, like stimulus or Mitch's popularity fan club. They don't know that. And congratulations to Tim and Linda, who got this wonderful pot of money for rent. If you got a rent or utilities, post in the live chat right now. 2 fingers. Let's get to some SNAP. SNAP is incredible. What is SNAP? It's money for food. How do you get it? Department of Agriculture. Reach out to them. DOA. How much? What is the eligibility? Easier than a stimulus check. How much does it pay? A fortune. Louis got $18,000. Mark got $19,000. Lynn Glenn got it for herself, her son, and her mom. Gail got it as well. And a family of 4 out of Hawaii gets upwards of $16,000 a year. Wow, why so much money? Because of 2 wonderful executive orders, one from Biden, one from Trump, that raise your benefits up 15%. So go get some SNAP. If you got SNAP, post in the live chat right now. And we're just getting started. We're only 11 minutes of this video, and we've gotten an incredible $27,000 for rent. In some cases, $9,000 for utilities, $19,000 for SNAP, and we're just getting started. Let's get some money, got them back from the states from that unemployment benefits and a computer error. The federal government has ordered the states to return money back to you for unemployment benefits overpaid initially due to computer error. So where's the landing? Direct deposit. How do you track it? Reach out to your state and say, hi, state, where's that check due to overpayment of unemployment benefits? And can you track it with a computer that actually works this time? Maybe plug it in and turn it on. Plug in a keyboard. And there you go. And finally, the last pile of the money is the refund check coming back from IRS. This is wonderful news. This is the unemployment benefits you pay taxes on. Margaret got it, Todd got it, Michael got it. And guess what? It's a waivable check. So if you're at the beach, wave the check. No, it's a waivable check. Mitch, sorry about this. I know you hate waivable checks. The latest wave of the check is landing this week. There's a new wave every week. One recent wave was July 14th, direct deposit, mailed July 16th. That wave, the average payment was $1,265. Mark's check was about $1,400. Here's a personal message, though. If you're on the live chat, share your success stories if you got rent, utilities, food, or internet, whether it's $1 or $100 or more, because the spirit of this channel is me helping you and you helping others, a community of people loving each other. When you post your success stories in the live chat, 3 magical things happen. Number 1, you inspire people to go get some money. So everyone has rent, everyone has utilities, everyone has these bills, and suddenly you see, wait a second, all these people getting rent. I have a rent bill. I should get my rent bill paid. You inspire people by posting your success story because then you realize they should go get the money. People have utility bills. And then SNAP. Some people never heard of SNAP until they found this channel. And then they got it because you posted your success story. So post it. Next, when you get multiple sums of money, you inspire people. Art Sullivan got 3 items. Nisi got 3 items. And together they inspired Nancy to go get 3 items. And you heard my story about Mark. He got 2 items. And I told Mark, go get the third. He got the third, $19,000 for SNAP, bringing his grand total to $50,000. Finally, it updates us about the numbers, which are bigger than we thought. All right, let's cut back to those unemployment benefits. Where are they landing? Direct deposit, otherwise in the mail. Can you track it? Yeah, but how much is it? Let's say you had $9,000 of unemployment benefits. You paid $5,000 of taxes, of which $4,000 was your taxes on unemployment benefits. Congratulations, you're getting back $4,000. Where? Direct deposit, otherwise in the mail. And can you track it? Yeah, go to irs.gov and do a transcript search, and 70% of the time it'll work. It'll reveal the refund check the tax return you filed, the taxes you paid, and then 70% of the time it will reveal stuff that you wish you never knew. Like when Mitch was on Star Search in the spokesperson competition, and he wore all teal. Was that painted on or was that sprayed on at Amazon Hair? And finally, it revealed the refund check you came back from IRS. Can we top that? We can, as we cut into the second part of your 4th stimulus check update of 2021 going right now. Deal done. $3.5 trillion of checks are coming to the American people under the fourth stimulus recon. These are application checks of all different walks of life. And the Democratic caucus in the last 2 weeks have agreed to pass the recon. That test will be put to the test starting today when they call the vote on the recon, procedural recon. So what do we have at the moment? The procedural recon is simply, we got $100 to disperse among 10 subcommittees. How should we spend it? And that's it. Doesn't talk about the items that they're spending the money on, just the subcommittees. And that's what's called procedural recon. The incredible great news is detailed in a series of documents released from the Senate Democrats yesterday. Sometimes you would pull up a document, be just 1 page long, literally a page long. It's not a bill, it's a proposal, it's a guideline. Here is some of the spending. Some of these details you've seen over the last few weeks on this channel, and all of them were confirmed as correct. So there'll be $726 billion going to health, to the Committee on Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions. There's $332 billion to the Committee on Banking, Housing, and Urban Affairs. There's $198 billion to the Natural Resources Committee. There is $135 billion for the Committee on Nutrition to spend on people. $106 billion for the Judiciary Committee to spend on people. $83 billion on the Technology Commission to spend on people. $67 billion on the Environmental Public Works Committee to spend on people. $37 billion on the government affairs for government affairs. $25 billion dedicated to the Committee on Small Business and Entrepreneurship to spend on small businesses. And then $21 billion on the Committee for Indian Affairs to be spent on Native American citizens. And then $18 billion for the Committee on Veterans Affairs to be spent on improving VA services. Wow, incredible, great news. How do we get to the spot? By shrinking the recon and taking the roads and bridges out of the recon. Originally, recon had roads and bridges in there before July 4th, making it unpassable. So the Democrats came in and took the provisions of roads and bridges out of the recon, making it, the roads and bridges, passable, and the recon. The confirmation comes from a conservative publication just days ago, which said the following: the higher the price tag was on the recon bill originally, the harder it was to pass. By allowing the Democrats to take out some of the spending from the recon, roads and bridges, and put it into the bipartisan, the overall price tag of the recon got smaller. There you go. In other words, the bipartisan deal made the recon passable, and the recon made the bipartisan passable. And now they're both being passed. By the time of this recording, the roads and bridges should be passed in the Senate, and the recon could be passed in the Senate for procedural purposes as early as the next 48 hours. Wow. How do they do this? By shrinking the recon, by taking roads and bridges out, then the progressives were able to add more money back in, bringing the number up to a bigger number, which is $3.5 trillion. And they did that to have other sums, to have enough money dedicated to their programs. For example, Rishi Torres wants money for housing, and he got it with $3.5 trillion. I want a larger recon. You got it, $3.5 trillion. Ilhan Omar wanted a big enough recon so that she got her money provisions in there. We need to have a recon that goes as far as we wanted. You got it, $3.5 trillion. And the progressives were meeting with the White House daily to ensure the recon went big and bold enough. They got it, $3.5 trillion. How do they do this? By protecting the recon, because there's a lot of priorities that were in that recon, all of which are checks for the American people and progressive policies. Brian Schatz in Jalopal talks about this. The White House considers progressive priorities in the recon its priorities because there is so much in there. They were told to protect the recon. Now, what is a recon, and how does it get called for a vote, and what do you need to know, and why is the president so aligned well with the progressives? Well, a week ago, we had no infrastructure, we had no eviction moratorium, and the student loan payments were back on point, so you had to make your payments. There was no freeze on point. But by the end of the week, the progressives pushed, including Representative Bush, and that got a complete 180 reversal by the White House, putting the eviction moratorium back on the books and putting a freeze on your student loan repayments. So what is a recon and what is a bipartisan? Let's go over all the details starting right now with a lot of news hitting yesterday as broadcasters were back in the studio. They didn't report at all over the weekend about what happened with the recon, the bipartisan, leaving Americans very confused. I was the only one reporting. But when they came back in the studios on Monday, they started covering the subject matter and they butchered it again. So let's go over the words so you know them better than they do, because guess what? That's what's important, your knowledge. Recon and bipartisan. Those are two words I use on this channel. Recon describes your money. This is reconciliation, or the also called the budget bill. Price tag $3.5 trillion. People quoting an article about it like an AOC or Bernie Sanders. Bipartisan, not your money. Roads and bridges, also called infrastructure. Price tag $1.5 trillion. People quoting an article about Kristen Sinema, Ron Portman, or Mitt Romney. All right, who votes on the recon? Everyone in the Senate will vote on the recon first. Every Republican will vote against the recon, and every Democratic senator said they'll vote in favor of the recon. The tie-breaking vote, the Vice President of the United States. So that's easy breezy. So who writes the recon? This is actually a little bit more in-depth now than you've seen in prior days. The recon they're doing right now is the procedural recon, which really has almost nothing in there. As you just saw, $3.5 trillion, item number one. Item number two, $100 billion to this committee, $200 billion to that committee, $300 billion to that committee. Signed, dated, done. That's all there is. Then, who then writes the recon later on? Well, in September, then they do recon substantive. And that revelation was revealed yesterday by Leader Schumer. They're not doing recon substantive now. They're going to do recon substantive in September. And in September, then once recon procedural is passed, then Subcommittee 1, that is dedicated $100, for example, then can go write the legislation about those $100 and decide where they're going to spend the $100 on. We're going to spend it on this. We're going to spend it on that. And then they send that up to Chuck with the 10 pages they wrote about what they're spending the $100 on. And then he combines that into a big bill. Until we have that bill, we don't have the provisions for it. This is what's called the substantive recon. And under the Constitution, there's no requirement that they show you what they're writing, taking in or taking out. But until we see that final substantive recon bill, which we thought maybe we were going to see this week, we're only being shown the procedural recon bill. Really surprising. Then it's not bill yet. Yeah, so we have a few more weeks until we see the real recon bill we're looking for, the recon substantive bill. Now, it's important to understand that the guidance for that recon procedural says what they can put that money for in those committees. And it's checks of all different kinds for the American people that are application based. Checks of all different types, for dental, for vision, for seniors, for Native Americans, for housing, all different types of things. But as to the mention of a multiple stimulus check, not in there. They don't put that language in there. So they promised they were going to put it in there, and they did not put that language in there. Doesn't mean they can't put it in there later, or even a single stimulus check. They can certainly put it in there later. But in the guidance, they don't put it in there right now. Repeat, the voting that they're doing this week is just for the dedication of sums of money to committees, not for the dedication of sums of money to items. That determination is done in the recon substantive in September. So along the way we go. And how do we get to the spot? By Jalopal saying, call the vote on the recon. Well, they're calling the vote on the recon today. After all this time, can you imagine? And that letter was written by Jalopal, who was signed by 10 House Democrats, 12 House Democrats, part of the 100-plus House Democrats, who wrote the president and said, we're going to give them monthly stimulus checks. They didn't do it. So Purple Power push. They got to keep their promise. Then 7 members of the House Ways and Means Committee recently wrote the president saying, we're putting monthly stimulus checks in the fourth stimulus package. Well, they didn't put any mention of fourth stimulus checks in there yet. So you got to push to ensure they get it done in the substantive recon. Remember, no mention of it yet in the procedural, but they could still put it in there in the substantive. But you got to push Purple Power because so far no mention of it. Can we top that? Yes. As the president recently did it, Biden did it. He went overseas and signed a ceremonial signature. That ceremonial signature was key because it set up an actual signature just a few days ago for the global minimum corporate tax rate. Why is this great for forced stimulus? Because it makes it easier to pass the forced stimulus. Number one, easier to write it, easier to call for a vote, easier to vote on it, and easier to pass the forced stimulus recon because this confusing thing is not in there. Can we top that? We can. As we go into the final 15 minutes of this video with the breaking details about the vote, with so many different types of votes and so many different types of procedures we're battling over the next few days, I'm going to explain them as simple as I can. A lot of details and a lot of things you need to know. It's coming up in the final 15 minutes of the video. Then we cut to fifth stimulus, which is just days away with September. I'll go over all the details about that as well. And then something more delicious, the volunteers. If you need help with rent, food, utilities, and more, reach out to the volunteers. They'll help you find that bit of money. Where do you find them? Open the description of this video. Go down the description. You'll find the volunteers. They're separated from Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. On the community page, it's news.lalate.com/community. There's a picture of some kitty cats at the top. They're not the volunteers. They're just kitty cats. Lower are the volunteers. Reach out to them. They'll help you get that big money. And I'll be back with you as Early Mornings LA continues. If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.lalate.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals. Reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LALATE Daily for the excitement of the new LALATE live daily. The excitement starts on Mornings LALATE at 9 a.m. Home LALATE returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons LALATE at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LALATE. And the excitement continues right now on Early Mornings LALATE as the toast is toast and the butter is butter, and I'm here, you're here, and the excitement's heating up. Boy, what an exciting 48 hours it has been. Big news across the board. In the second half of this video, we'll be going over the recon procedural versus recon substantive. We'll be going over the finishing of the infrastructure on the Senate side. And what's next with the House, the recess, not recess, all the details, and especially the September details as well. So subscribe. 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record. I want you part of this family. Hit that subscribe button right now. Thank you for the incredible subscriber growth across the board. Like the video, 2,000-3,000 likes, and consider becoming a member. The link's at the top of the chat and then pinned comment. Stay on this video and automatically take you to Overnight's Crypto, which is currently playing on the channel live on air. Then join me this morning, later today with Mornings LA. Well, during the run for president, the president said that he was going to raise your benefits up for SSI and SSDI. He did not deliver. And then during the transition papers, he said he was going to do it again. He did not deliver. So now the Democrat senators and Democratic House members saying they're taking care of it this fall. And they say it's going in fifth stimulus. Fifth stimulus starts in September. This is the SSI reform. And first step is they're going to reform the system. Legislation for this starts in September, then to a vote, they presume, by November. Then they represent that the benefit lifts would hit in November, the step up would be in December, the benchmark would be December, and the lifts would happen next year. Let's go over all the details of how this works as they so envision it. First, they'll raise your benefits up a lifetime. Then they'll remove the asset limit, add inflationary benchmark, remove the income exclusion, and remove the marriage penalty. All right, let's go over how this works, starting with who gets it. You do. If you're on SSI, SSDI, Social Security, railroad benefits, veterans benefits, SSA, or multiple beneficiaries. First step, they'll raise your benefits up a lifetime. Next, they'll apply a benchmark. When? In December. For what? For inflation. Where's inflation going? It's going to be transitory. What does transitory mean? It's going to be a temporary spike in December. Wow, right when they apply your benchmark? Yes, incredible, great news. How high is that inflation rate going to go? I'm reporting it's going to go about 5%. About 2 days ago, I went over details about what these new economic data is suggesting. It may even be higher. But let's use 5% as an example. First, they'll raise your benefits up a lifetime. Then they'll apply the benchmark. And the benchmark is 5%. Your benefits will step up another 5% lifetime, because once your benefits step up, they never step down. Then, if the inflation rate is 2% the year after that, you'll be at plus 2, plus 5%. Then they're going to remove the asset cap, dating back to a 1980s law that says you can't have more than $3,000 in hand and also be on benefits. Now you have the ability to have some Crayola crowns in your hand. They're going to remove the income cap, dating back to a 1960s law that says you can't work and stay on benefits. And finally, the marriage penalty is going to end. Love is going to win, and you'll be able to marry your longtime love interest. You'll no longer fear loss of benefits, and you'll be able to get married. And if you had your benefits end, they'll be restored. That's for stimulus. Meantime, if you're in the live chat and you notice people who have a purple hawk next to their name emoji and you don't, what are you doing? Join now, because this is where financial freedom starts. Purple Hawks are delivered daily from me via the YouTube community page, a breakdown of all the big money that's available under third stimulus, under fourth stimulus, and under fifth stimulus. And trust me, with the details of fourth stimulus heating up, you really need to know all these. Here's what's at issue. When December was rolling around and people were looking for a $600 stimulus check to show up, it wasn't showing up. And I told viewers, don't be focused on the $600 stimulus check. I can get you $6,000 because there's other sums of money available for you, bigger sums of money. Don't be financially dependent on the arrival of one check. And they weren't. And Tyrone got $15,000 paying all his rent between December and February. Then, in January this year, I launched the Purple Hawks. Hawk, to refer to people who pounce first as soon as money comes available. I said at the time, there's going to be a $1,400 stimulus check. Do not be financially dependent upon it. Do not focus on it. Because when it comes, you're going to spend it, and then you're going to wonder where the next check is. I said there's fortunes of other monies, application-based, in the third stimulus package. Money for rent, utilities and food and things like that. And that's what viewers understood. And Purple Hawks took my advice and pounced. And instead of spending their focus on a $1,400 stimulus check, they got $32,000. Or in the case Mark, he got $50,000. And Mark has been referring other people to this channel in the last few days, and his neighbors are getting $20,000, realizing there's big sums of money that are available for you, and you need to pounce and get those money. And I'm going to get you these sums of money when they come due in the fourth stimulus. So become a member, and the link is on the top of the channel, pinned comment, so you can get this big money as well. And with that, let's cut into the final 15 of the final 7, starting right now. Here we go. Deal done. $3.5 trillion of the recon is a done deal if they got it right. The Democratic senators all say they're passing the recon. They agreed 2 weeks ago to the price tag of the recon. That test will be put to the test today as they're calling the vote on the recon. $3.5 trillion of checks, a lot of checks across the board, application-based for a lot of different provisions. In the recent days, I was going over some of the items for you, and they're all confirmed in the recent memo and proposals released on Monday. Here are some of the checks in there. Free school meals for all checks, tax break checks, cheaper prescription medication checks, immigration reform checks, farming checks, there's a lot of farming checks, money for elections, free internet checks, then lots of checks for workers, things for unions and collective bargaining and independent contractors, and then lots of checks for seniors, like lowering the eligibility age, adding coverage checks for dental, checks for vision, and checks for hearing care. All right, let's cut over to the bipartisan roads and bridges. By the time of watching this recording, it's possible that the roads and bridges will be approved by the Senate. A vote-a-rama has been going on for the roads and bridges over the last 50 hours. It was purely ceremonial because they had done the amendments over the week before, and that roads and bridges are to the finish line for purposes of the Senate. Over the weekend, we saw a lot of dramatics with this, and certainly they heated up on Monday when Chuck Grassley said, you know what, I'm very angry at that Republican from Tennessee, and he's a Republican, saying you wasted my Friday, Saturday, and Sunday with your darn waiting things out longer. We could have been done with all this because we all agreed upon it. Don't you love grumpy old men? There you go. Well, the roads and bridges are done for the Senate, so what about What about the recon? All right, so let's go over the recon. The President of the United States has made emphatically clear that he is not signing the roads and bridges unless on his desk in the White House is also the recon. Now let's go over all the details. He says, as to the roads and bridges, the roads and the bipartisan, if that's the only thing that comes to me in the White House, and that's the only thing that comes to me, I'm not signing it. I have to have the recon as well in tandem. Then he also says, I'm not just signing the roads and bridges and forgetting about the recon. I propose the recon, and they're equally both important. All right, Nancy. Nancy confirms that if you send her only the recon in the House of Representatives from the Senate, it's going in the wastebasket. Now, this is something you're only going to hear on this channel. How does it go in the wastebasket? Some people talk about going in the wastebasket by her not calling for a vote in the House. No, she can do it even easier. She could just never put the House back into session. This House is not in session at the moment. So if she's only sent the roads and bridges, she could just never call them back into session. She made a very emphatic statement just a few days ago, and the emphatic statement was so vigorous, it went viral. As I said, there won't be there won't be a bipartisan unless we have a recon. Plain and simple. In fact, I use the word ain't. There ain't going to be a bipartisan unless we get a recon passed by the U.S. Senate first. Then Jalapal said that everyone has Nancy's back. We did a poll of our Democratic House members, and the overwhelming majority said they're not going to vote on the bipartisan without the recon as well. All right, so let's go over then the procedural elements of the recon and then the substantive elements. And a lot of this is all breaking news on this big early mornings broadcast. It may be a little bit overwhelming, but as time goes on over the next few hours and day or two, it's going to start to settle in and be a little bit clearer. All right, so what are they voting on today? Today they start what Schumer believes will be a 50-hour votorama on the recon, procedural. Now, Schumer's representation, and he may be wrong because he may be misanalyzing the situation, is that he thinks he can get the votorama and the approval of the recon procedural in the Senate within 50 hours. Maybe he's right, maybe he's wrong. So what are they voting on in the Senate? They're voting on only the amount of money to be dispersed to committees of the U.S. government. $3.5 trillion is the first thing they have to vote on. And then they have to vote on where $3.5 trillion is split among committees of the government. And that's it. Committee number one, you get 10% of this. Committee number two, you get 40% of this money. That's all they're doing. Done. Pass. So then what is next? Here is where things are not particularly clear as to Nancy and Chuck. Nancy and Chuck have always made it clear that the recon and the bipartisan would be passed by the August recess. They said that 1,000 times. So do they mean that just the recon procedural will be passed by the August recess? Now that's what they're saying. Not exactly what they were saying before. We have been talking for weeks about seeing the recon bill. We have been talking for weeks about them saying that the recon will be law by the August recess. Not exactly accurate. They were sort of playing with the words with us again. So it looks like this is what they're going to do. They're going to have the recon procedural done this week, potentially, passed by the Senate, then go over the House. If the House needs to modify it or modify the roads and bridges, then they do. And then back to the president, sign. And that's it for the month of August. Then the next step will be in September, which is not what they originally said. In September, they're going to then have those subcommittees decide how they're going to spend the money that they've now been given. For example, committee number one got 10% of $3.5 trillion. How are you going to spend the money? Okay, now I'm going to decide. And I'm going to write it up in a bill, and I'm going to write it up in parts of a bill that would be, let's say 20 pages. And each of those subcommittees write their parts of how they're going to spend their money, send it up to Chuck, combines as a bill, and that's recon substantive. We thought he was going to get this all done by the August recess. Now we thought they had been doing this for a while. Now we realize they hadn't been doing this at all. What have they been doing? I'm not joking when I say that. What have they been writing? Because if they haven't been writing this, then what were you writing? Because the thing, the recon procedural is not a lot of writing. Can you, if Chuck, if you're watching, can you call me and tell me what you've been writing for the last 3 months, 2 months? Because I don't understand what, if you have not written the recon substantive already, then what have you been writing? I just don't, I don't get it. Here is, do I have that piece of paper? Well, it's here somewhere. The piece of paper that Chuck put out yesterday was literally like 12 lines of text. It wasn't much at all. It wasn't even it's less than this. This is 4 pieces of paper. It was 1 piece of paper. So really peculiar, just a little bit peculiar. When the House and Senate come back into session in September, then they're going to start marking up the language of the recon substantive. To recap, because I know it sounds a little bit perplexing, the recon procedural this week doesn't say where money is actually has to be spent. It gives recommendations. It's called non-binding. So as a committee number 1, it can say for housing, for nutrition, but it doesn't say what about nutrition. Okay, I got that. I got it. The topic is nutrition, but what about nutrition? Okay, we'll get to that when we write it up. And that write-up happens in September. They do not mention the language of multiple stimulus checks, but they can still change language they can still write the language when they do the recon substantive in September. They can modify things, but because all they have at the moment is how much for what committee. And with that, a lot of pushing will be at hand. People in the American people will start to, in the next few days, start to see how is this government spending its money. You're spending money on cybersecurity, and you're spending money on fixing the VA, but did you spend money on this thing? And that will certainly become a topic of discussion. And certainly if the American people thinks that you have money in subcommittees, they're going to say, why aren't you sending that money in this item? There's a lot of checks in here, and the opportunity to get those checks is going to really heat up in the next few days as we start to see the drafting of the recon substantive as well. A lot of details and a lot of moving parts. Today, again, the recon procedural starts the voting. We will see if Chuck Schumer can deliver that in 50 hours as he so represents. Maybe he'll need more time as well. And with that, subscribe. 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record. I want you part of this family. Hit that subscribe button right now. Like the video, 3,000 likes, and consider becoming a member. Coming up next is Morning's Overnight's Crypto, which details that crypto provision that got into the roads and bridges. I'll have more about that on the Morning's Crypto live broadcast, because that one was a fascinating twist of events. Then coming up next is Mornings LALATE at 9 a.m. So subscribe, like the video, and consider becoming a member so you get access all to this big money across the board. Thank you for all the incredible member growth in the last few days with nearly 200 new Purple Hawks daily. Stay informed, stay focused, have a beautiful morning, and stay with LA for more.